know who, but all I know is somebody needs to hear this. All right, everybody. So we're back here again on Somebody Needs to Hear This. This week, I have my son Aron here. I know he looks like the guy that was on here last episode, but it's not. That's my twin son. That's Aron. He's the Packers fan. The other guy, I don't know what he likes. But
Go, Pack, go.
So, look, here we go. Our topic today is my son has a problem with forgiveness. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to dig into it and see what that's all about. All right, so you know what? I didn't even bring you in with an applause, man. So let me say that again. My son Aron is here today. Oh, yeah. All right, so look. So I think before we get into that, man, I think that as a parent, what I want to do is I guess there's a question that I need to ask. Like, I kind of want to know where this unforgiving spirit comes from. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm the one that raised you. I mean, a lot of things that you have learned how to be a man has come from me. I mean, all of it hasn't come from me. I mean, I'm pretty sure you picked up some things along the way on your own, right? That I didn't teach you. But where does that unforgiving spirit come from? Is that something that you learned while growing up in my household, or what, son?
I mean, it's a complex answer because, it's not just one thing. It's a bunch of things and, different situations and, scenarios. But, I mean, I would probably say, like, dealing with certain people that's come in and out of my life that, I felt like, didn't bring any value or, definitely did not show any loyalty or brought, like, a lot of problems that I did not feel like was worth dealing with.
Okay. So this seems like it's not something that is really from your childhood that was rooted, because I mean, you haven't, from what I can remember, you haven't always been the unforgiving type. I mean, this has to be something that has developed throughout your adult years.
I mean, more so, but I mean, there's definitely stuff from my childhood, and I mean, I would definitely say that dealing with certain people, I would probably say from friends and family, but I think we both know who the biggest villain is here. Okay. And I mean, we're going to call it for what it is. Mom is a big contributor to what molded me into that kind of mindset of where, if you're going to bring those kind of problems in my life, I don't really need you around.
Well, I mean, son, that's a harsh word. That's a harsh description. A villain? You labeled your mother as a villain.
I mean, look, villain, bad guy. I mean, that may be a harsh word, but I mean, to me, you brought a lot of problems in scenarios where to my detriment, and so I have no choice but to kind of look at you in that way, where I look at you like my hero. You raised me, you showed me, a lot of guidance throughout my childhood. Once me and Karan moved with you, and how you you made us respectful men. But Mom, let's call it for what it is. I think there's a lot of pieces here when talking about her. She did not do her job. And I mean, let's start with the fact of that, she abandoned us. I mean, maybe abandoned is not the word you would use, but I feel like, you straight up quit. You quit on your kids, you basically didn't want to take care of us anymore. And you call up my dad basically telling him, yo, like, I had him for 6 years. You need to take him for 6 years. And it's like, that's what we do. We don't want to take care of our kids anymore, because as far as I look at it, when they're your kids, there's yours for at least 18 years until they're ready to move out the house. No, you didn't want to take care of us.
Okay. Let me. All right. So I'm gonna give you the other side of that argument, right? Mm-hmm. The other side of that argument should sound a little something like this. When me and your mother had the conversation about you guys coming to live with me, it was more along the lines of, we were doing what was best for the situation. We were doing what was best for our children. And at the time, I mean, and I didn't know, what her exact situation was, but she told me that she just wasn't able to keep up with life at that point in time. Right. So, and I can imagine that's true, being a single mother with twin boys, and you're trying to figure out your life. I'm pretty sure it is probably hard as hell at that point in time. So when she reached out to me, I was more than willing to say, all right, hey, give me my boys, and I'll figure it out from there. So the original agreement wasn't like, well, it's not like she came and just left you guys on my doorstep. It wasn't like that. It was more like, well, listen, you seem to be putting yourself in a better position than I'm in right now, so maybe you should take the boys.
I mean, look, that may be the situation, and you know what? I can appreciate the fact, like we did need you. Boys need their fathers, and there was a lot of stuff that I think at that point in our lives, being 6 years old, that mom wasn't going to be able to teach us. We needed that guidance and structure, so we did need you. But I think where the problem becomes is that that's not how the message was conveyed to us. We're being told, your father's taking me from you. Not that I'm shipping you off, but he's taking, you guys from me. And then, let's also keep in perspective that, well, who's the guy that you're sending us to? A lot of the stories you were basically telling us about our dad is like, well, he's a deadbeat. He don't come around to see you guys. He doesn't like to come over and spend time with you guys. Why? Well, he has other kids that he rather spend time with. He's over at what's her name's house, and he's spending time with Johnny and Aisha and Aaliyah and Aaron, and basically painting this picture like that.
I was spending time with my other kids.
Yeah,
but at the same time, that's why. But well, son, I get it from her point of view, that she was definitely selling y'all a reason. She was trying to give you a reason on why she was in the situation that she was in, and I don't know if you guys were going to understand at that age, at 4 or 5 years old, that your mother had you guys while I was in the situation with another woman, while I lived with another woman, and we already had other kids. So it wasn't the ideal situation. It was not, but it was something that she chose to do. It was something that she wanted to do when she had y'all, and I was going to be the father that I needed to be to you guys, but I couldn't be two places at once. So there was no way that I could live where I was living at and spend the same amount of time with you guys. Now I would get you guys. You guys spent a lot of time at the house that I lived in. I mean, you, Karan and Aisha were my day. You guys were my full day. I used to, and I don't like to use the word babysit because I don't agree with when you're a father and you're watching your children that you're not the babysitter. You're the father.
right.
So I fathered you guys all throughout the day, and then when your moms would come home from work and take over, I would hit the streets. I mean that's the point of life that I was in. I was into the streets, but all day long I'm taking care of my children, and that night I went out there and I made some money, son.
Yeah, no, I believe you were doing the best you could with the situation that was given to you, and you were still providing. But that's what mom's flaw was that you're talking about my father in a way of that you're making me feel less important. You're telling me that I'm not important to my dad. He's prioritizing his other kids over me and my brother. So that, of course, is creating resentment. And like I said, when you boys attach to their mothers, so we're gonna believe that. It wasn't just something where at 6 years old you're gonna be, man, mom tripping. No, like, yo, I really feel like my dad likes, prefers, even loves my siblings over me.
I really wonder how normal that is. I mean, I'm thinking about it now, and I wonder how normal that is whenever you have a family like that, to where a guy has kids with multiple women and he can't be there. I mean, the woman that gets the least amount of time, or not as much time as he does with his I don't want to use the word primary family, because I mean, to me all the kids were equally important to me.
I believe
You guys were equally important to me. So I'm pretty sure that just the situation itself caused resentment of, well, dad's not here with us, or he loves them more, or this, that. I think that's a pretty natural thing for that kind of situation that was created.
Yeah, and I think that what a mother's job, or in the other case, a father, if their children are residing with the father, is you can't be sitting there talking to your kids about the other parent negatively. You need to let those kids determine on their own, and as they're growing up, okay, what was my parents' role and what were they doing, and let them figure out the truth. But if you're going to sit there and badmouth them, at least make sure it's the truth. And it's
I agree with that 100%, son. I don't think that in any case parents should bash each other to the children. I don't think that a mother should try to make a father look less than to his kids and try to have him, or will try to have them not like their father, not respect their father, or any of that. I mean, even if there are issues there, I think that's supposed to stay with the adults. You know what I mean? Because you of all people, man, I didn't say anything about your mom.
I was about to say, I got to give you your flowers because you ain't say a word, and you had tons that you could have said, and you ain't say a word about mom. And mom was throwing shots whenever she could, whether we was living with her or once we came and lived with you. She always had something to say. She called you everything under the sun, and yet behind closed doors, she's saying good stuff to your face, but not to us.
Right. And I mean, I can't sit up here and be too angry about that because, like I said, son, I mean, she was in a situation to where she was probably what they call it, a scorned woman, a scorned, angry woman in that situation. Even though, I mean, she made her own choices in that, you know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure she was upset with how it turned out, which I don't know, because I mean, she never really had that kind of talk with me, son. It was never well, you got me pregnant, I got these kids, how come we're not together? We had already discussed that we're not together. Actually, when you were still in your mother's belly, we went to her parents and spoke about the situation, and me and her both told your grandparents that, yeah, we're not together. We're not going to be together. So then it was your grandfather. Your grandfather was like, so what's going to happen here? Like, she's pregnant and y'all not going to be together? I said, listen, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be the father to these boys. I was like, it's going to be difficult because we're not in the situation, but she has chosen to have these children. She didn't choose a termination. She chose to have these children, and only thing I could do is support her. But once again, it has to be a reasonable situation. I can't be two places at once. I already have another situation in another household. So my time is going to have to be divided, and I'm going to do that the best way that I can.
Well, I think we're going to start to see is there's a trend here of manipulation and lying, because you let mom tell it, you cheated on her. You was cheating on her, and y'all was in a relationship. And like I said, there was a bunch of wild, crazy stories. I mean, like, let's start with the fact that when we was born, mom's going to tell us a story that, you came to the hospital, you saw us, and then you dipped off in her Jetta, and you left her there, and our grandfather had to come pick her up.
Lies. Son, all lies. I was there through the birth. Matter of fact, I went to the hospital with her. I was there through the labor pains with her. When it was time to help the babies come out, I physically was the one that was holding her leg up, holding her leg open. Then you came out with no problems, I might add. It was Quran that was the problem.
Always a problem.
Yeah, he was the problem. So we had to put the suction cup in there. It attached to his head, pulled him out, blood splattered everywhere. I got some of it on me. I mean, I don't know why she doesn't remember this, but I remember this, or she does remember it. But in order to enforce her story, she has to X that part out of it. So I mean, I know the truth. She knows the truth, but for whatever reason, she decided to paint a different picture for you guys. I don't know if it's sympathy that she's looking for, or maybe she in her mind, because son, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, out of my 54 years of living, I have learned that people will create a story in their mind and actually believe that shit happened the way they and
I think she did that.
Right.
I think she did that.
Right. And it's absolutely not true. But I mean, I don't know what the case is there, but I don't know why I don't know why that would be spoken to you guys as 4, 5, 6 years old anyway. Makes no sense.
I mean, it's just stories on top of stories that as you get older, you start realizing, man, a lot of this stuff don't make sense. And some of the stories you do remember, like I remember somewhat, like I said, you might remember the story a little bit better than I do, but she tried to, accuse you and get you arrested on kidnapping us. And to me, it was a crazy situation because, you took us and there was a situation between you and mom and you took us with you. And then, of course, I remember the cops showing up and they're about to put you in cuffs. And it's like, how did our dad kidnap us? Like, is our dad a danger to us? No. Okay, well, do you have any legal standing where we're supposed to only be in your custody? No. Okay, so how did he kidnap us?
Right. Well, I mean, that was another thing, man. She created a story to the police to make the police actually have to come to my residence, and they did. They arrested me that day in front of my kids, and I had to actually beg the officers. I had to beg another man to allow me to say goodbye to you guys. That broke my heart, man. As a man, I mean, that's crazy. I don't want to ever have to beg another man for anything, but I was willing to do that just to try to ease the situation with you guys. And yeah, your mother, she didn't care. She didn't care, son. But I mean, at that point, I mean, I should have known that it was a war that I was going to be fighting for a long time. I should have known that.
I mean, listen, that broke our heart because me and Karan were bawling. We was crying, and then we get in the car with mom, and you know what she said? Y'all need to shut up. Why y'all crying? Like, yo, I just seen my dad get arrested. Like, yo, like I would never want my son to see me get arrested or in cuffs. That's one of the most traumatic things that a son can see his father go through, and it was crazy. Like,
well, I mean that directly conflicts with the idea that I didn't want y'all and I didn't care about y'all.
Yeah.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like I said, she can tell her story and live in her own truth. But sometimes when you're living in your own truth and reality smacks you in the face, you're gonna have to deal with it. And
yeah, I mean, look, it further grows, right? Because then we move with you when we were 6, right? So then as time starts going on, every year is the same story. I'm trying to come get y'all, and I'm trying to fight your dad back for y'all. I really want y'all to come back and live with me, but every year it was the same thing of like, no, we still here. And it was this story that she's painting of like, well, your dad won't give y'all back to me, or oh, y'all don't want to come live with me no more after me and Karan had already grown roots. And you cleverly pointed out, by the way, you was like, because I remember as we got older, we started talking about it. You was like, yo, your mother never tried to get y'all back. She never filed for custody. She never took me to court or, got a lawyer or took me in front of a judge. Like, how'd your mom try to get y'all back?
Well, son, I and even with that, I guess I only had to answer those questions because those were asked to me by my children. Because if nobody would have ever asked me, I wouldn't even told you that. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I mean, I don't ever want to have a bash session about your mom. Even the fact that we're here today is not. I'm not using a platform to even defend myself or any of that. My main purpose here is to try to get you to find out what you need to do in order to get past the things that's hindering you when it comes to forgiveness, because I truly believe that you have to be a forgiving person in order to be a good man. I'm not saying that you're not a good man at this point, but in order for you to elevate to the next level, you're going to have to learn that level of forgiveness. You just have to, because just think about it. Just think about the term unforgiving man. That doesn't sound like a good man,
Right.
because he's unforgiving. So me being your father, what I want to do is I need to get you to the point that you can let some of those things go that happened with your mom. And I know that there's a list of grievances that you have when it comes to your mother. And I don't think that you need to exercise or talk about each and every one. But I think that what you need to find out is what can you do about it to where it doesn't maintain that space in your life anymore. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you get to that point to where it doesn't occupy that space in your life anymore.
I mean, look, I'll be completely honest. Like, I mean, I'm gonna be just disclose something. You know, I got anger issues. I'm not even going front. I'm not going to sit here and try to make myself out to be this perfect person. I mean, overall, I do think I'm a good person. I'm a respectful person. You know, I got my master's. You know, I own a home. I'm married. You know, I have, my beautiful son, and I have a great paying job. Like, I am doing pretty well for myself. But like everybody, I have my own issues, and one of those is like I do struggle with anger. And the thing about it is, like, it's a lot of anger that's been built up over time, and not just by mom. So I'm not going to sit here and make this all about mom, and but mom is a big contributor, and like there's a lot of stuff that I know that I need to eventually resolve, whether it's through self-therapy or it's talking to somebody else, whether it's you or with an actual therapist, or watching self-help videos or something. But I think that that's why it's such a big factor for me, is because this has been brewing since a childhood, since my childhood. So, and I think that, like I said, when it comes to mom, abandonment, to me, even though that may not be the word a lot of people would use, but when you give up on your kids, that sits with them. And I think that for me, that's why it's a lot easier for me to cut people off, and be comfortable to a sense, because, at that point, you're not going to just walk out of my life and leave me here holding the bag. At that point, let me do us both a favor. We're arguing, or we're not rocking with each other. We got issues, we got beef or whatever. You know what? Let me do us both a favor. Let me just end it now. Let me cut this out. And you know what? You go about your business, I go about my business, and let me just save us both the drama.
Okay. So since you had a serious loss of connection, and that's the only way I can put it, when it comes to as a child, and you have your mom and your father, so you developed an abandonment issues. That's what they call it, right? Abandonment issues.
Facts.
Because of the loss of connection with your mother. It has, I guess, created a defense mechanism for you to be able to say, all right, well, I'm done with you, or I'm going to just cut you out of my life, or not talk to you, or not deal with you anymore, just in order to save us time, or to save me the anguish of having to worry about if that's eventually going to happen anyway.
That's a big piece of it, but also on top of that, I think what people need to know is, like, I am your son. So there's a lot of stuff that your kids get from you. One of those is that you have two sides, right? So you have the football coach, you have the communicator, you have the guide and the influence and the innovator. And then there's also a side of you that people don't want to meet. And, I'm pretty much the same way. On one side, I'm a respectful person. I'm a nice person. I think most people that would meet me would describe me as a nice, respectful person. But there's also a side of me that, like, I don't want people to meet, because it ain't gonna be good for no one.
Well, son, that's why when I started off this segment, that's why I originally asked you if your unforgiving personality comes from me, because I mean I don't think so. Or then I might be fooling myself, because just like I'm telling you about people living their own reality, because I don't think that I'm unforgiving. When I look around at the people in my life, there's so much that I've had to forgive, all the way up until my father. I had to forgive my father for not being the part of my life that he should have been. Because my father, I mean, he meant the world to me, you know, at his passing. But that came so much later, because throughout my entire life, I didn't really have him. So there was anger issues there. There was daddy issues there for not having my father there, feeling like I always needed to prove myself because I didn't have him in my life. But I mean, I forgave him, even though, the wild thing about that and with him is that even though I forgave him, he thought that I wouldn't. He thought that I didn't, because when he would get upset and he would start crying and be like, "Son, I know that you hate me," and Dad, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I don't hate you. You feel like maybe I should hate you, but I don't. I understand the decisions that you made in your life, even though I wouldn't have made the same decisions, but they were your decisions to make. And I'm not going to hate you because you did something differently than how I would have done it. So, I mean, but let's get off of that. Let's get to the whole thing about, your part with your mother that kind of pushes you to be in situations throughout your life that you have become this cutoff king. I mean, because I think that we have to get you to a point to where you can start forgiving people for shit, man. You just you have to start, or there's not going to be anybody left in your life. And I know that you got things that are coming down the pipe. I mean, you have a son. You know what I mean? Maybe you're going to have more kids. You have a wife. I mean, to have a family is to have to be forgiving at some point in time, because things are going to happen and you're going to have to be able to forgive. You might even be in a situation that you need to be forgiven. You might need someone else's forgiveness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because we're human and things happen. So therefore, I just really want you to kind of get that into your whole makeup of a man, to where you learn how to apply forgiveness. And as far as your mother, I'm not saying that you have to, after you leave here, you need to run and jump on the phone and call your mom and say, "Hey, Mom, I forgive you for everything you did." That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you need to start by forgiving the little shit that that you shouldn't hold on to. I'm pretty sure that there's arguments, there's disagreements that you've had with people that when you think about it now, you go, "Man, that shit really wasn't that important for us to not be talking and for us not to be dealing with each other. So let's talk about this. Let's figure this out. And hey, let's not hold on to this anymore." I mean, I think that you start there. I think the forgiveness for your mother is a much bigger thing for you, and you're probably going to need those reps. We talked about this before. You're probably going to need the reps and learning how to forgive. So you want to start out small. "Oh, that's some small shit over there. Hey, man, I forgive you for that." You know what I mean? Like, you need to get there, and then when it comes to the bigger thing, hopefully you build up enough momentum to where you can actually get there in your life, son. And I mean, I'm here for it, for whatever you need.
I mean, I earned that label, that cutoff king, and I kind of like that name. So that might be hard to give up, but as we talked about, yeah, you're right. There's little things that you can kind of forgive, slide to the side, but like I said, when it comes to mom, there's not just one thing. There's 20 things. I'm just throwing a number out, but there's two big things, and I kind of went over the first one with abandonment. Now we kind of get into the second big piece, and this is what I mean when I talk about a level of disrespect that can really destroy a relationship. And like you said, stuff happens, mistakes happen, but then there's also blatant disrespect that when that happens, it's kind of hard to just kind of sit there and be like, you know what, it's nothing. No, it's something. So
Okay, well, let's get into this, son. It sounds like it's about to be crazy.
yeah, I'm gonna try to be as thorough but quick as possible. So at any point you can let me know if I'm going too long. So I would say me and Mom's relationship started changing dramatically probably around 2016. That's probably when things started changing. So 2015, I was dating Jay, and me and her broke up. So like most boys, I called Mom a lot. I was calling her maybe 4, maybe 5 times a week. One, I wanted to be consoled and I wanted advice, and I talked to her a lot, like most boys probably do, maybe not, but that's what I was doing. So then, as we get into 2016, I got into a few friends with benefits situations. So now when I'm calling Mom, it's not calling her in the same way. I'm still calling her, but it's more updating her. Hey, this is, I'm in the gym now, so it's like, hey, Mom, I'm doing better. I'm not tripping like that as much. Just kind of updating her. We get to the end of 2016. This is where now my now wife and me become like we're dating now. Like we basically become official. So now I find my best friend, my place of solace. I'm finding that everything I was getting from Mom, I now am getting from my girl now. So this is where the shots start coming in. So now like Karan's telling me like, oh, yo, Mom said you don't call her no more. Yo, like you just disappeared. And I'm like, yo, I still talk to Mom. I mean, it's like maybe not 4 or 5 times a week, but it's maybe still once or twice a week. But I got a life to live. And I got, other responsibilities. I still had the job. I still had, the gym. I had a girl now, so
I already see where this is going.
Yep. So now everything's moving. I'm progressing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not moving backwards. I'm moving forward. So now we get in 2017, and at this point, I had taken my wife to go meet Honey, my grandmother. So that situation was great. They showed her hospitality. Everything was great. They loved her. Take her back up there a second time because Mom's there. So I'm like, I want you to meet my mother. So Mom and her are having what I thought was a great conversation. They're talking about her imaginary wedding and stuff like that. And, she's telling her, yeah, make sure you take care of my son. And, she's like, oh, of course, I care about your son. So everything was going great. This is where things start getting even more like, this is where things take like a sharp turn, right? So now, right after that, this is where Mom started having some mental struggles. I think me and Karan were kind of having conversations where she was kind of mentioning self-harm. So one night, I guess she's supposed to go up to Honey's house, and Chris, who I can't even call my aunt, that's my mom's sister because I have no relationship with her at all. And if I see her again, I'm probably going to jail.
Son, she's still your aunt.
I mean, I don't consider her my aunt. Like I said, we have no relationship at all. Especially once I break the story down, people are going to understand that she crossed the line probably further than my mother did. So, my aunt's supposed to, no, not my aunt, but Chris is supposed to take her. So this is probably like about 2 or 3 we're talking. She says she's struggling. Chris is supposed to take me. So I'm like, all right, cool. I get a call probably about 8 o'clock. They were supposed to head up about 6. So 8 o'clock comes, my mom calls me and she's like, yeah, I'm still struggling. I'm waiting on, Chris. She hasn't picked me up yet. So now I'm like, yo, what's going on? Did the plans change? Is Chris all right?
Wait a minute. So I don't get lost here. So this is Chris coming to pick your mom up to take her to get mentally evaluated or something like that?
Nah, it was just to take her to Honey's house to kind of get her, around family and take her, so she can get her mind straight,
Right.
And Honey is that Honey's a strong person in our family. So Honey, can talk to you and make you feel a lot better than, what you were feeling and put you in a good mindset. So I think that was kind of the plan. And, she's telling me Chris ain't there. So now I'm like, okay, well, now I got my mother on the phone talking about that she's going to self-harm. I don't know where Chris is at. I don't know if she's okay or something happened. Let me just call and check. So I call Chris up, and Chris is like, yo, why you calling me? Like, don't be rushing me. Like, your mother's being dramatic. And I'm like, I'm not rushing you. I'm just saying she's talking crazy. Like, I was just trying to see if the plans changed. She's like, I'm going to go pick her up. I'm on the way. So I'm like, all right, cool. An hour later, I get a phone call from Chris, and she's going off on me. She's sitting here telling me, yo, don't you ever call me up and rush me. Yo, I got a job and I got to work. Who are you to sit in here wondering where I'm at? I'm like, yo, like, you bugging. I wasn't trying to do that. I'm just trying to figure out what was the plan and what was going on, because mom is talking a certain way. And she's like, yo, you don't help out. Yo, all you care about is sex and money. You a bad grandson. You a bad son. You a bad nephew. You're a bad brother. And I'm like, yo, like, you going off on me because I called you to see what the plan was, and yo, and you talking to me like reckless, like, yo, if you don't stop, I'm gonna end the conversation. She was like, I said what I said. Oh, all right, so you talking spicy. All right, we ain't got nothing to say. So I hung up, and at that point, we had no relationship. I haven't talked to her since. So,
but she's all right. So, son, you see what I mean?
mm-hmm.
All right, there was a crazy incident that was going on that involved, your mother and her mental health and whatever was going on. People were aggy and this, that, and the other thing. It just sounds like a heated moment. Sounds like a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that are going on. Right. So when that happens, a lot of things get said that aren't meant. A lot of things are just flying out, especially a person who doesn't have that type of mental discipline and know not to say things that are going to basically infuriate another person, or maybe that's the reaction that she wants to get out of you because she's infuriated, because that's usually what happens. And when people are angry and upset, they want everybody else to be just as angry and upset as they are. So then they say those things trying to get a trigger out of you to try to get you to the point that they're at. But that doesn't mean that anything that they're saying is true. And it doesn't mean that they even mean the things that they're saying at the point in time. You know what I mean? It's just that it's the heat of the moment. It happens. It happens. I don't see why you should make the determination that, you know what, since you said all this crazy stuff about me and you disrespected me to this level, that, you know what, you can never be family to me ever again because you let something come out of your mouth that I really don't appreciate. That's what I mean. So like you can't let it go that far, especially because you're dealing with mostly, and this is not to sound chauvinistic in any kind of way, but you're dealing with women, right? And you and, well, your grandfather too, but he seems like he stays out of the way most of the time. But I mean, you're dealing with your mom. Think about the characters here. Your mom, Chris, and your grandmother.
Right.
Man, that's a hotbed of craziness that could just pop off at any point in time. And once you engage and involve yourself into it, you're lost. That's why my thing has always been to teach you as a man that, all right, when you see that kind of feminine energy floating around the room, don't get involved in that, son. Because you can't win that, and secondly, you're not going to understand what's going on. You're not going to have a clue. I mean, right? I mean, I don't know how it is in your marriage, but I can tell you right now, even with my wife, when my wife is pissed off at something that got nothing else to do with me, come
out on you.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, yo, where is this coming from? This is I'm in an insane conversation right now. This conversation makes no sense at all. And if I was to hold her to everything that she says when she's upset, so we wouldn't be together.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be together at all. So, I mean, when it comes to certain things like that, man, you got to learn to have a level of forgiveness, but at the same time, know when to not engage.
I mean, look, but we also got to keep in mind here, though, that you're right, that some stuff is kind of like, all right, this is being said in the heat of the moment, but you would think that after some time, calm down, cooler heads prevail, that there'd be a conversation, even an apology, or, you know what, I didn't really mean to say that I was angry, and that's not what I got. I got after that.
Man,
that's what I said. But you know what? That's only there's more coming with her.
I forgot how young you are in the game.
Oh, trust me, I understand. I got a lot to learn, but the point is
man.
that anytime that, first of all, I'm very calculated when I'm angry. I know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you don't get apologies from people that has said something that is just so far outlandish. I mean, very few. I mean, well, should I say, well, a lot of women. A lot of women don't apologize for their actions and what they say, son.
I mean,
that's just not the way that it goes.
And we ain't got nothing to talk about at that point. I mean, if you're going to sit here and you're going to curse me out and you're going to say all type of outlandish things, right? Or you're going to make accusations or anything crazy like that, and then you finally come off that high and you good and you can sit there in good spirit and sit here and be like, man, what I said it wasn't that bad. Oh, so you really feel like that? You going to call me a bitch, or you gonna sit here and tell me all I care about is pussy, or I don't give a damn about my family, and then you can sit there after you're not mad anymore and be like, yep, oh, what we got to talk about? And that's, like I said, that's just one piece of it. I ain't even get to the other part where the threats start coming in and the blatant disrespect to my wife. So let me go on, right? So now we get into, I think, 2018, and me and, my wife finally get our own apartment. So we're living together. We just moved in. I think we was only there for a day, not even. And I get on a 3-way call with Karan and Mom. And out of nowhere, Mom just started saying all this negative stuff about Liz. Yo, I think she's temporary. Yo, I'm not really feeling her. I think you belong with Jay. When I met her, I didn't feel a spiritual connection. And remind you, I had the phone on speaker because, like, every time I have the phone up here, like, I feel like I can't really hear everything. So I always have it on speaker. So now my wife is sitting next to me in bed crying like, yo, like, what the hell did I do for your mom to feel that way about me? I ain't done nothing. I never said anything. Last conversation we had, it was very, respectful. I don't know what I did for her to be saying all that stuff about me. So that created a point of contention in me and her's relationship, to now where there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of conversations where it's like, yo, I don't care what she says. I want you. So now, as time goes on, this is where now Honey gets sick. Honey ends up in the hospital.
Well, wait a minute, because you're moving a little too fast for me. So did you ever address this? The conversation that was had in earshot of Liz?
With Liz or Mom?
With your mom?
No. At this point, it was like, because Liz, you didn't know Liz was listening, you truly told me how you feel. If you didn't know Liz was listening and you said that, I mean, if you knew Liz was listening, you would have muted yourself. Oh, I'm not going to say that. Because you didn't know she was listening, you told me how you truly feel, and now you can't take it back. My wife heard you. So now, not only have you created a problem in my relationship, you now created a problem to where, how am I supposed to expect y'all two to ever get along? And this is my partner. Like, you just opened up a door that you shouldn't have opened. That can't be closed now.
All right, so maybe you think because you were the son in that situation that checking your mom right then on the spot maybe would have been too much for you, maybe would have been wrong. I don't know. But I think that if you would have stopped her in her tracks and said everything that you're saying now, if you would have stopped her in the tracks and said, hey, listen, for one thing, you're on speakerphone, for one thing. She just heard everything that you said. And even if she wasn't on speakerphone, everything that you just said, I don't agree with none of that. Like, how are you going to tell me who's going to be temporary in my life? Like, you could have checked her in a way and still been respectful about it. You ain't have to curse her out. You could have been respectful about it. And I think that probably would have saved some of y'all relationship, because I mean, it sounds like, yeah, she needed for somebody to tell her something at that point in time. I don't think she needed for you just to decide that, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with you no more. I think that she should have been told that, yo, nah, this, because you don't, of course you don't know this, but it was not the same thing. But I remember when they asked me, my family asked me about my wife.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me, well, what's going on here? I said, we riding. This me. I'm good. But see, they had been so used to me, having different chicks, because I was basically a single man before her. So they would come to the house or whatever and see, oh, well, who's this? Oh, this is such and such. This is just a friend. This is such and such. Just a friend. You know what I mean? But this one here, I'm right. This me.
Mm-hmm.
This one me. So I had to let it be known that this is what I'm saying it is, and nobody else decides this for me. So I think that you should at that point in time, you had the opportunity to address that with your mother, instead of letting it go and just deciding to get her on the back end. You know what? I ain't gonna deal with you no more after that.
I mean, look, hindsight is 20/20, right? So I mean, yeah, but then also that's like me hearing a conversation, me dealing with my wife, and this never happened. This is hypothetical, but this is like me dealing with my wife, and then I hear like, "Oh, you dating that black dude?" You can't. Like, it doesn't matter what you tell your family at that point. I know they don't rock with me because I'm black. So it's like at that point, it was like, okay, yeah, I could check her, but my wife already heard it. I already heard it. You already let it be known. The situation is already what it is. So me telling you, yo, what you just said, that ain't cool. I don't agree with it. But it don't change how my wife is going to feel. It don't really change how I think that you perceive her. So at that point, it was just kind of okay, there's really not much to say about it.
But it doesn't have to change your perception, but I'm gonna make you have to respect it. You gotta respect it. You owe an apology. Like now. You know what I'm saying? Like right now. So if it was reversed like that and somebody said something to Liz about you and was like, yeah, I can't believe you dating that black, I would expect for her to be like, oh, whoa, what do you mean? Like, I don't have a problem with him being black. If you have a problem with him being black, then you have a problem with us being together. So then, I mean, address the situation instead of just going, you know what? You heard what they said. We just not going to deal with them no more. Now, I think that sometimes people need to be educated. Sometimes people need to be hit with the truth, like right away. Look, here you go. And I think that a lot of this could have been avoided, like with your mother, if she would have been. And it's the same thing with me, son, except for I didn't have the opportunity. A lot of the things that your mother said to you, a lot of the lies and these stories, these made up things, if I would have known them, I would have addressed them to her like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you telling my sons this? You know that this is not true. So why are you pushing this narrative of, yeah, your father's a deadbeat and he don't really want to spend time with you guys and stuff like that? Because I would have checked that shit from the door a long time ago, and probably over time we wouldn't even be in the situation that we're in right now. What I want everybody to do is I want you to like, share, subscribe,